What's going on, everybody? VLion here, and welcome back to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. Sitting here in Kerbal Space Center, the sun's just setting on Kerbin, and for those of you who've been paying attention, I have a lot more money than I did previous episode, sitting at 470,000 as opposed to around 350,000, and a lot more science, 260 as opposed to I think 140 when we last left off. Which means that we'll be able to get a lot more science. We'll be able to upgrade our tracking station and vehicle assembly building, which is definitely going to help us get to our next destination, the moon. Right over there, got the moon. We're going to fly around there, and it's really going to help us to upgrade our tracking center so that we can actually see how things are moving, and also upgrade a vehicle assembly building so we can get more parts. Now, the way that I did this is that I did some mission control missions. Collecting data, launching tourists into orbit and then bringing them back. And one of the ways that I collected science is I built myself a plane. So I'm going to show you right now the important parts of building a plane and show you my design, which is a pretty common design. I added a bit more science than some people do. And also I added an extra cockpit so that I could send two Kerbals to do science, specifically one engineer and one scientist, just to make things a bit easier, or a pilot and a scientist, or whatever tickles your fancy. But it helped me get to the mountains, get to the other parts of Kerbin, and collect a lot of science and do a lot of missions and gain a lot of money. So sit back, relax, and listen, and I will teach you how to build a plane. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need to do is build a cockpit and build the main body of the plane. That's gonna determine where your center of mass is, which is very important. So after I did that, I put on a tail fin right in the back and two more just to help control the pitch. So after I have those in place, I take out my fuselage, which is where my engines are going to be, and I put them where I think the center of mass is going to be. Okay, and I put some jet engines on there. And then what I do is I make sure that the tail fins on the back aren't blocking the engines. Afterwards, also I make sure they're connected to the actual body and not offset too much, because parts that aren't connected will fall off. And then I just need to make sure that my thrust, which is the purple sphere, is directly behind the center of mass, which is the yellow sphere. Afterwards, I place on the wheels. The wheels need to have two right behind the center of mass and two in front. And the ones or at least one in front. And the ones in front need to be a little bit higher than the ones in the back so that the plane is tilting upwards when it's on the ground. And then I put on some wings, and what that's going to do, you see that little blue sphere? That's my center of lift. And I want that to move a little bit behind and below my center of mass. And that's going to give me the best control. Now, these wings aren't going to let me control the plane on my own. I'm going to need to add control surfaces first. So here I'm moving the engines just a bit back, just so I can move the center of mass a bit back, so I can get it closer to the center of lift, and then I put on these control surfaces on the wings. I have to move them a bit around with the Q, W, E, A, D, F, S keys. Not F, but never mind. And then I put on some science, because that's going to help me out. Afterwards, I just make sure that the engines are aligned properly, just so that they're pointing straight. You can use the lines in the spaceplane hangar on the floor to help you realize what's a straight line. Now I just call it the Kerbin Flyer, and then I check to see what else is needed. So what I end up noticing is that my tail fin is sitting a little bit back as opposed to the other two tail fins. So I just move that a bit forward with the offset tool. And then I move the control surfaces to the edges of the wing also with the offset tool. That's going to help me with my pitch, yaw, and roll. I also edit the control surfaces so that they're only in charge of roll. I make sure the tail fin is only in charge of yaw, and that the ones in the back, the two tail fins, are in charge of pitch mainly. And then I go look for a mission. I go to the control center, mission control, and I pick an easy one. Just take a crew report in a certain area near the space center. And then I just time accelerate till morning. And then I decide I'm not very good at landing. So what I do is I take two parachutes and I place them near the center of mass, just above it, so that when I launch my parachutes, it's going to let me go straight down and not going to flip my plane over. And there, we're pretty much done with our design. This is a very stable design. I just add some solar panels and I take it for a drive. So you see that little purple marker is where we need to go to take a crew report for our mission. And we launch the plane. And it flies very well. We have SAS thanks to Jebediah. And simply we just need to go to the area, take a crew report, and then we start heading back. So as I get close to the Space Center, I lower my throttle down all the way, and when it's under 200, I launch my parachutes. When my speed is under 200, I launch my parachutes, and then I just land safely. And that gave me some money, and I go ahead and I click some more missions. So now that we've seen how to build a plane, I'm actually going to go through with you on a mission where we actually have to take our plane out, land it, take samples, take off, land again, and do that a few times. It's a mission right here in the control panel, in the mission control, called Conduct Temperature Surveys of Kerbin. We've got 4 years left to do it, but we're going to do it right now. First of all, we're going to time accelerate. We're going to press the period key until time moves fast enough. Let's press it once more. And there we go. Sun's just rising. Before we continue, we're just going to upgrade the tracking station. There we go. That's going to help us out. And we're going to go to the space plane hangar. And we're going to open up our Kerbin flyer. And we're going to put in a Mr. Jebediah Kerman and a Mr. Bob Kerman. No, not Bob Kerman, in fact. We're going to put in Bill Kerman because he can actually repack our parachutes, which is going to be very important since we stink at landings. Okay, is there anything else we want to add? Could add some form of SAS, but I don't think so. Not right now. So we're going to launch. Alright, and we're going to throttle up. Alright, and we're up in the air. Yeah, you shouldn't be messing around with the map while you're trying to fly a plane. So we want to head directly south. Just take off. And we can... Oh, we bumped the ground a bit there. Turn on SAS. going to go in and flare up. I think we missed some of these places. Okay, so after clicking on one of the nodes in the map screen, you can see here I can just activate navigation to trial beta, or activate to trial gamma. Alright, so what we're going to do now that we have navigation active, now we're going to launch. Throttle up, release the brakes. And lift off. Turn on SAS to help us maneuver. And we're going to look for this symbol right here. This blue thermometer signal. Pull up. Oh, we are going too far around. So now we're heading straight towards it. And we don't want to crash. Oh, there we are. So let's launch we launch our parachutes, we turn here. We're directly on it. You see it's blinking, that means we're in the right spot. Turn on our brakes. And we log temperature. There we go, collecting survey data for trail gamma and alpha. So we already have 2 of the sites ready. Now we just go in and we do trial beta. Trial beta, let's see, now it's actually active. So what we're gonna do, Bill's gonna get out. He's gonna EVA. And he's gonna repack these parachutes. Repack shoot. Repack shoot. Now, because we don't have action groups unlocked in the spaceplane hangar yet, what we're going to do, we're just going to move these down. There we go. And now, let's see, does that? No, so that's not right. So we're going to do that again. We're going to move this in here. That's going to come out again. And he's going to repack these chutes. He's going to disarm these. He's going to get back on board. Then what we're going to do, we're going to turn the plane around a bit. Despite the fact that we don't really have any steering in this wheels, we can still do a little bit of steering, which is nice. There we are. There's site beta. Turn off the brakes. And we can go. Oh, turn on the brakes. Turn the brakes back on. There we go. And we tilt up. And we're good. Now we just head over to Site B. Oh, here we are. So we launch our parachutes again. And we should be at Site B. Just looking for its marker here. Not seeing it, but we did land, so we turn on our brakes. And we log the temperature. And there we go. And we have mission completed. So now we're gonna do that thing once again. This will be much easier when we actually have action groups available to us, because then we'll just be able to, with the press of a button and not with spacebar, we'll be able to actually take our temperatures. Launch our parachute. So we're gonna repack the chute. Repack the chute. And we shouldn't lose much money if we just recover the vessel now. But it's much more fun to fly. So I will be right back when I land. And there's a space center, and let's just go in for a nice, easy landing. We're going to try to land without our parachutes. It's going to be great. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. And almost. Brakes. Brakes. We did it. Looks like we actually landed pretty easily without our parachutes. Oh, don't tip over. All right. So now all we really need to do is head towards the moon, which I think we're going to do in the next episode. So thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to pick up all this science off screen, all the science that I choose to pick for the moon launch. And don't forget to click that like button, click that subscribe button, click that bell notification icon, and leave a comment down below. And I will see you all next time. Peace.